If your bustier blouse never comes out right, this video will fix that problem completely. So make sure you watch till the end for the finishing technique that makes it look professional. So let's get started. So for this blouse, we have 2 yards of lace fabric. You can use any lace of your choice. So this is the one we are using, 2 yards, 1 yard of bridal satin that we had to put hairstay on. Look at it with iron hairstay on it. We have our zipper, we have our peplum stay for the bust caging, and we also have our thread. So let's draft. We've drawn all our lines for the drafting. So we have our starting line, which is the starting point to the chest line, which is 9 inches. How do we get 9 inches? Your bust circumference divide by 6 plus 2 inches, which is the 9 inches. Then from there to the bust point of 11.5 and the under bust of 15.5, the true waist length of 18.5, the full length 25, and 2 inches for our bust dart alteration. So we have our nipple to nipple line or the bust span line of 4.5. So let us mark the full back measurement. The full back we are working with is 14 inches divided by 2, which gives us 7. So after marking 7, I'm going to add 3/4 inch seam allowance for the fixing of the sleeve. So we have total of 7/3. So that 7/3, mark it on your chest line in order for you to draw a straight line from the chest line to your starting point. So I'm going to draw a straight line. Whatever your full back measurement is, use it. Next, we are going to take the shoulder slant of 3/4. After marking 3/4, I'm taking the neck width of 4 inches. So this is my 4 inches. After marking, I'm going to connect the neck width to the shoulder slant. Okay, so after connecting, the next thing we are going to do is for us to place our tape on the neck depth. So we are using 1.5. That 1.5 is not the actual neck depth, so we are just placing it at that point. So next, place your tape at that shoulder slant area, check what is left and divide by 2. We have 4 inches divided by 2 is giving us 2 inches. So that point of 2 inches, connect it to your bust point. My ruler to connect it to the bust point. After marking it, the next thing I'm going to do is to place my tape at that bust point, and then I'm going to go down by 1 inch and come up by 1 inch. So from the bust point, go down by 1 inch and come up by 1 inch. After that, we are going to do our contouring. So for that middle panel, I'm marking just 1 inch, okay? While for the side, I'm marking 1/3. You can make use of 2 inches if you want, but I'm using 1/3. So after marking that 1/3 and 1 inch, I am going to connect it to the bust point. Okay, so place your ruler the way I have placed mine, and then contour that 1 inch, sink it into that 1 inch you came down by. So flip it over again, and then use your armhole curve to connect it to the 1/3. So next we are going to do alteration for the upper bust. Okay, that's the over bust tightening where I am pointing. So we are going to take 1 inch on both sides. So place your tape, mark 1 inch on both sides. So 1 inch here and 1 inch there. So after marking it, use your armhole curve to connect it to the 1 inch you came up by. Remember, from the bust point we came up by 1 inch, so connect it, flip it over and connect it to this other part. So my client does not want her chest to be too open, so I am going to come up a little bit for the chest line. So I'm marking 8 inches. That will be our new chest line instead of the 9 inches we used earlier. So I marked 8 inches and drew a straight line. So because of that reason, the contouring we did for the over bust tightening, we are going to extend it upwards to the new chest line. So mark 1 inch and then extend your line up to that point of 8 inches. But if you are the type that want to expose your cleavage a little bit, it is fine. You can still use your armhole line as your original chest line, okay? But for this one, we came up by 1 inch extra. So this becomes our yoke for the front. Okay, so it is time for us to mark our cross back measurement. So from the shoulder slant, measure what you have left. After measuring, divide by 2 and then mark the midpoint. Okay, so from that midpoint, go inwards by 3/4. So I placed my tape and marked 3/4. I'm going to use my armhole curve to connect from the shoulder slant to that 3/4 and then to the armhole. After that, I'm going to take the bust circumference. Okay, so the bust circumference we are working with is 42.5 divided by 4, which gave me 10.58. So I mark the 10.58 plus the 2 inches that we used to contour the over bust. I marked it plus 2 inches regular seam allowance, which gave us total of 14.58. Okay, so after that, we are now going to make a sweetheart for the neckline. So for the sweetheart for the neckline, the depth of the sweetheart, we are using our 9 inches that we had earlier, which is the actual chest line. So from that point, I have to make a curve and then sink it into the bust area. So after sinking it in, this is what we have. So the next thing we are going to do now is to make a curve, all right, to have our actual yoke. So the neck opening now we are going to work with is just for us to make a curve. So use your pattern master or armhole curve and then make a curve at that point. So I don't want it to be that straight, so I made a curve at that point. So that pattern pointing now becomes our actual yoke, while the other part now we are going to cut it out. So next I'm going to put my pattern master on that under bust line and then sink it into the bust span line. So see the way I placed it, draw that line, okay, all the way up. So flip it to the other side at that 1/3 at the under bust, place your pattern master and sink it in to the bust span line. All right, so next we are going to take the under bust measurements. So the under bust we are working with is 34.5. So 34.5 divided by 4 will give us 858. So I marked 858 and checked what we used to contour. We have 1/3 plus 2 inches seam allowance give us 4/3. So I marked the 4/3. After that, we are going to go to the true waist. So the true waist is 35 divided by 4, which gives us 8/3 plus the contouring of 2 inches plus the regular 2 inches seam allowance, which gives us total of 4 inches seam allowance. So next we are going to go to the hip area to mark the hip circumference. So the hip circumference we are working with is 45 divided by 4, which gives us 11 1/4 plus 2 inches seam allowance. So next I'm going to use my pattern master to connect all the dots. Okay, so connect from your bust to your under bust to your true waist and to the hip measurements. After connecting all these points, the next thing we are going to do is our bust dart alteration. So I'm marking 2 inches for the bust dart alteration because the front length for the half length is 18 inches while the front length is 16 inches. So the front length minus the back length will give you your bust dart alteration. So 18 minus 16 gives us 2 inches. Okay, so these are the parts I'm shading that we are going to cut all out, and then after that we are going to draft the back panel. Okay, so it is time for us to cut what we have all out. So if you've watched up to this point, please subscribe to my channel and turn on your notification bell so that you will not miss out on any of our beautiful tutorials. Okay, so we upload new videos every single week, so don't fail to subscribe so that you will be part of the first person to be notified in order for you not to miss out on our beautiful tutorials. So to draft the back panel, we've drawn all the lines from the starting point to the chest line, to the true waistline, and to the full length of the blouse, which is 25 inches. So the full back we are using is 14, which is 7 plus 3/4 inches. This other line is 9 inches, which is the chest line. So the chest line and the full back is the same measurement. Okay, so this other part now I am placing my tape is our zipper allowance of 1.5. So we are going to take the neck width of 4 1/4 to mark. So after marking 4 1/4, we are going to take the shoulder slant of 3/4 After marking it, we are going to use our pattern master to connect it to the neck width. Okay, so from the shoulder slant, connect it to the neck width. Next, we are going to take the neck depth for the back. We are working with 2 inches. Okay, so after marking, use your pattern master code to connect it to the neck width. So after that, the next thing I'm going to do is to come up by 3 inches from that armhole area, and then I'm going to use my pattern master to make a curve. So after making the curve, the next thing I'm going to do is to take the bust circumference. But before that, we'll go to the true waist and then do our alteration. So from the zipper allowance line, go in by 4 inches to take your dart measurement. Okay, the dart intake is the nipple to nipple measurement, so I'm using 4 inches. So I marked for 4 inches, and then from the shoulder I marked 6 inches. So the dart is going to terminate at 0.6 from the starting point. So at that point I marked 4 inches as well, and then I'm going to connect all the lines. Okay, so after connecting the lines down to the end of the blouse, that's the full length of the blouse, I am going to take half inch on the true waist to snatch that area, to give it a snatched effect of half inch, and then I'm going to connect it to the tip of the 6 that went up by. Okay, so after that I'll connect the other part, and then it is time for us to do our zipper bulge alteration. So from the true waist line, okay, go in by 1 inch, use your pattern master to collect it in a slant manner. Okay, in a slant manner to the down part of the blouse and then to the upper part of the zipper allowance line. So after connecting it, place your tape again from that new zipper allowance line that you went in by, and then mark your zipper allowance of 1.5. okay, so that is what I'm doing. After marking them, use your pattern master to connect all the dots. Okay, so after connecting all the dots, we are now going to take the body measurements. So that is our new zipper allowance line. So it's time for us to take the measurement for the true waist. So the circumference we are working with is 34.5. So divide by 4, you are going to get 838 plus 3 inches seam allowance. Okay, so add your 3 inches seam allowance. Next, we are going to the hip circumference. The hip is 45 divided by 4, which gave us 11.25 plus 2 inches seam allowance. Okay, so we are going to go to the bust circumference. The bust is 42.5 divided by 4 is giving us 10.58 plus 2 inches seam allowance. Okay, so check your dart intake and then add it up. Okay, which is about 238. So mark it and then connect all your lines from the bust to the under bust and then to the blouse hip. Okay, so after connecting all the lines, we are done with the back panel. So next it's time for us to cut the pattern. Okay, so this is just the part 1. Click the video on your screen to watch the part 2, where I will show you how I cut and sew this bustier blouse step by step. Don't forget to subscribe and give this video a huge thumbs up. This is Lois Ada.